Well, I haven't reviewed the bills specifically, but any bill that mandates that our law enforcement work with ICE upon their request is going to make us less safe instead of safer. First, those officers don't have the specific training in immigration law, which is very different than other laws. I actually worry about how much ICE trains their agents in immigration law. Now, you're supposed to have a level of due process. There's supposed to be very particular questions and parts of an investigation. Immigration law isn't about seeing somebody that looks like they might not be from the United States and throwing them in handcuffs. That's not who we are as people, and that's not what immigration law allows. But here's my greater concern, and we're seeing it on the federal side, is every say KSP trooper that's on our child crime task force that now has to go do immigration are catching less child predators. That detective working on a murder investigation that now has to go over and work on immigration, that family is not getting justice. We have counties where we only have 2 troopers and maybe a sheriff and a deputy that do all the law enforcement in it. They respond to domestic violence incidents. Are they now not going to do that because they have to respond to this immigration call? When we think about public safety, there are so many areas that our law enforcement protect us that they would be taken off that mission and moved to something else. And listen, with the amount of money that Congress provided to ICE, they have enough agents. They don't need other law enforcement. But I will reiterate that the actions of ICE appear overly aggressive, outside the bounds of normal law enforcement, outside procedures that would be used by normal law enforcement to even keep the community around their operations safe. Now, this is not a country where we drag people out of cars, where we shackle their legs, and where we use fear, especially against our citizens. And this idea that the president would invoke the Insurrection Act is preposterous, and it's also just another proof point that President Trump so desperately seems to want to use the U.S. military to attack our own U.S. citizens, that he wants to cause physical violence to people he disagrees with. That is not presidential, and it's pretty dangerous.